Moon shining, baby, shining blue on the tracks. Another day is gone, it ain't never coming back. The wind through my curtain says the sky is gonna clear for a while. All day I've been looking across the plain, waiting for the night time to see you once again. Slipping through the fields, hurrying to take your hand in mine, and we'll make hay while the moon shines. Peering through the shadows, wondering if you're getting near. I long to hear your sweet voice telling me that everything is fine, and we'll make hay while the moon shines. Meet you at the barn, baby, meet you by the door. Hearts are beating faster as we hurry across the floor. Moonlight to the ladder, footsteps clicking fast as we can climb, and we'll make hay. Make hay while the moon shines.
91.1 The Globe. It's Rebecca Frazier with Make Hay While the Moon Shines. My name is Seth. Thanks so much for tuning in to The Globe. We've got Rebecca Frazier here live in the studio. She's a bluegrass trailblazer putting out her most recent album, Boarding Windows in Paradise, in September. That album debuted at number 4 on the Billboard charts. It's out wherever you get your music. Rebecca, you'll be playing tonight at 7 in the Beer Hall at Goshen Brewing Company. Thanks so much for being with us today. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me. It's so great to be here, watching the snow fall out the window.
I was just about to say, I had some snow driving into town today. Hopefully everything got okay. You got in okay, obviously. And you have a fall run of shows here, including 6 shows in November. So how's tour life going? How's getting out on the road? Do you enjoy playing out?
Oh yeah, I so look forward to it. I'm a single mom, so it's just a blast for me to get out. I've been dropping the kids off at school and then hopping on a plane to go to a lot of these shows. It's just the way I've been doing it this album cycle. Just being a mom, not being able to drive those long hours. So we did fly to Columbus yesterday and drove in last night.
Awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about the newest album, Boarding Windows in Paradise, your most recent one. It came out this year, but your last solo album actually released 10 years ago in 2013. That little break there wasn't exactly intentional, I read. So walk me through it a little bit. What's happening in those 10 years that sort of one album and now 10 years later another?
Yeah, so I like to tell people this. So just mentioning the mom life again. As a mom, you can do it all. You can do everything. You just can't do it all at the same time. So my last album cycle, I did come up here to Goshen and visit and play for y'all in 2013. Was super busy with a baby and a toddler, making it all work and touring that album cycle, and found that I needed to pull back a little bit from the touring and able to come up with the type of songs, the quality of songs I wanted to record. So during that period of creativity, there was an incubation and there was a lot of introspection, but also a lot of jamming and just enjoying being a mom and teaching them how to play fiddle and drums, etc. And there was a big search for a new producer who I found he's probably my best friend in the world, Bill Wolf, who was the producer of Tony Rice and worked with the Grateful Dead and David Grisman and a lot of my heroes. So just all of that just took some time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that comes up to another question that I want to ask about Bill Wolf. So how did you guys meet, and what's your relationship like now? You say he's basically your best friend at this point in some ways. So what was it like then to find Bill Wolf, meet him, and just like create this album that you had to put out 10 years later?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. That's a huge part of this album for me. I joked around that I wanted his picture on the front because I felt like it was his just as much as mine. We've known each other. He's mastered all of my records since 2003. He started with Hit and Run. I'd never met him in person until I decided, hey, why don't I ask him to come out of producing retirement? Called him out of the blue one year and was like, I know you've been mastering only for 20 years, but what do you think? Can you come out of producing retirement? And he told me to come visit him, meet in person, and chat about it. And at that point, when he heard what I wanted to do, I told him I wanted to do something really big for, just like a midlife masterpiece. It was kind of like how I framed it, kind of like Dolly Parton's Grass is Blue. And he said for something like that, I'd probably call my old buddies, Bela Fleck, Sam Bush, Stuart Duncan, people from the Tony Rice era. And I said, you really think they'll say yes? And he said, well, I'm doing the asking, and I do think they'll say yes. And they did. And as our relationship progressed, and I just realized he was throwing himself into the vocals and the feeling behind the album just as much, if not more, than I was.
Wow.
If he would have his eyes closed and be swaying to the music when I did takes. It wasn't just push the button and then check your phone for text messages. You know what I mean? I'm not saying sound engineers do that by any means. That came across wrong. But I just, he's very old school, very analog oriented, and it was incredible.
Well, I wanted to bring that up as well. You sort of talked about in one of the things I was seeing that you wanted to make an album like that with some old school feel. So what about this record is old school necessarily? Why that?
To me, well, I've been listening to a lot of, ironically, since this is the track we're about to do, a lot of the band Love Cannon. I really enjoyed the way they were bringing 80s hits and adding bluegrass to it. I thought it was super creative. And on some of my tracks, like High Country Road Trip, we wanted to have that groove. I almost wanted, that's why I have the mirrored sunglasses on in the cover. It's just a little hint, like this is going to be a little 80s inflected bluegrass. Cool. And a lot of my favorite music is from the 70s and 80s. It just is. All that Tony Rice stuff, all the David Grisman stuff, the Grateful Dead stuff. And I wanted to reflect that flavor of my inspiration.
Yeah, I had another band in the studio one time with this really old-looking electric guitar amp, and our interviewer asked her about it, and she was like, well, this is what my favorite records were recorded on, so why wouldn't I play it too? And I think that makes a whole lot of sense. Well, you teased a little bit the next song you're playing, Borderline, which is you covered this basically. So what do you have to say about this song? Why this one? Why did you choose this one?
So this song is written by Reggie Lucas, a late guitarist and producer, and it has an amazing chord progression. For music nerds, there's just beautiful voice leading. I was very inspired by the progression along with the melody, and I was playing around on it one day, and I told you I've been listening to a lot of the band Love Cannon. They based in Charlottesville. They do pretty much only covers of 80s tunes, but done acoustically. And I thought to myself, I wonder if they would say yes to doing Borderline with me if I offered a drive to Charlottesville. And first, I didn't. They're old friends of mine. First, I didn't hear back from them. They probably thought I really wasn't going to drive there and do it. But I followed up several times and finally got the yes, and had a beautiful. It's actually a kind of a snowy early holidays day like this in a beautiful farmhouse in Charlottesville. Putting this tune together with them in collaboration. Wow. And if you have heard the track, you'll notice that I couldn't help but add in a little bit of a flat-picking guitar right there in the middle.
Cool. Well, Rebecca Frazier, it's Borderline on 91.1, The Globe.
Start with the groove here. One, two, three, four. 'cause you've got the best of me. Borderline, feels like I'm going to lose my mind. You just keep on pushing my love over the borderline. Borderline, feels like I'm going to lose my mind. You just keep on pushing my love over the borderline. Something in your eyes is making such a fool of me. When you hold me in your arms, you love me till I just can't see. But then you let me down when I look around. Baby, you just can't be found. Stop driving me away, I just wanna stay. There's something I just got to say. Just try to understand. I've given all I can, 'cause you've got the best of me. Borderline, feels like I'm going to lose my mind. You just keep on pushing my love over the borderline. Borderline, feels like I'm going to lose my mind. You just keep on pushing my love over the borderline. Keep on pushing me, baby. Don't you know you drive me crazy? You just keep on pushing my love over the borderline. What your love has done to me. Come on, baby, set me free. You just keep on pushing my love over the borderline. You cause me so much pain, I think I'm going insane. What does it take to make you see? You just keep on pushing my love
Rebecca Frazier with Borderline on 91.1 The Globe. Live in the studio here with us is Rebecca Frazier. Her newest album, Boarding Windows in Paradise, it debuted at number 4 on the Billboard. It's out wherever you get your music. Rebecca here with us is going to be heading over to Goshen Brewing Company after this to play a show tonight. That's a free show, and it will be at 7 o'clock. Rebecca, thanks so much again for being here with us. And I want to touch on another sort of major part of this newest album, which you mentioned already, is you have a whole host of some bluegrass legends on this. Bela Fleck, Sam Bush, Stuart Duncan, Josh Swift, and Barry Bales. What was it like to be in the studio with such legendary players, and what did it add to this record?
Well, that's a wonderful question, and I'm very honored that they said yes to this. Of course, it was their relationship with Bill that probably led a lot to that, but I've met them all in the past. Actually go to church, same church as Stuart Duncan.
That's awesome.
So we do a lot of Christmas shows together. So I actually called Stuart, but the legends added so much in terms of creativity. However, Bill made it really clear to me beforehand that he wanted us to have our clear vision of what we wanted before we even stepped in, and basically had the entire map of the album in our heads before we even set foot in the studio. So we were all at the Parlor Studio on Music Row in downtown Nashville. We were all in the same room, and I thought it would be super intimidating, but it was honestly for me just like a normal session where people are looking at, we're asking them to do what we envision. And then of course we're not just stepping back and just being like, wow, you guys nailed it in one take. We're like, oh, maybe we should try it a little bit like this. So it was both things. It was intimidating, overwhelming, but also like, oh, they're normal people too.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Well, did you learn anything from them through this process at all that stands out?
I did. I enjoyed how Bela spoke up about what he wanted. People have different styles about that, but when he was done playing, he was like, I really like what I did on this certain track, etc. And that really helped us when we were releasing it to know that he'd been happy with what, the parts we chose that he'd done. And then others like Stuart Duncan, they'll just give you their best almost every time. And in this, you're just like, okay, and you decide, because if there's multiple tracks, it's hard to decide.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to move on a little bit, you're a phenomenal guitar player. You're the first woman to be featured on the cover of Flat Picking Guitar magazine in 2006. And so how'd you start playing guitar, and what an honor to do that. And so, yeah, how'd you start playing guitar?
So guitar, actually, I have a little All About Me book from when I was 3 years old, and it says, "What's your favorite instrument?" And there's this little scratchy picture of a guitar.
Cool.
But I started with piano. Didn't get a guitar for Christmas until I was 11 or 12. Loved it right away, but I don't think I really understood the level of time commitment one needs to put into it to be a flat picker. Because I dabbled just like a lot of people and did homework and sports and all the other things one does. The bug, the Tony Rice obsession, that was the clincher for me. And it was late teens.
Cool. Well, for someone that maybe doesn't play guitar, can you talk a little bit about what that style involves, like flat picking, which you're famous for, and Tony Rice and all that? So
well, famous, that's very relative. Flat picking is a niche for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But could you describe a little bit about what that style means to you, or what it means to be a flat picker in the guitar world?
Sure, yeah. And we discussed this on the drive up here. We're like, the term is so confusing because it's just a pick, right?
Yeah,
it's a normal pick. The word flat is what seems to confuse people because they're like, why do you say flat? For whatever reason, flat picking guitar became kind of synonymous with bluegrass guitar. There is a slight difference, but it's the style. Just like there's a jazz guitar style, right? Certain licks you expect to hear, a certain way you're playing. Flat picking guitar is probably even more specific because it's very fiddle tune oriented. There's a contest, there's championships like down in Kansas for the national flat picking champion, and there's a Appalachian influence with flat picking, bringing a lot of those fiddle tunes in on the guitar, which Doc Watson started doing. When after he'd been playing with Clarence Ashley, he said, "Oh, I can actually do this on guitar."
Yeah.
So Doc Watson kind of instigated that style, and then Clarence White and Tony Rice kind of brought it to this more integrating it into a more bluesy and powerful. it's just associated with fast and powerful picking within the bluegrass genre.
Very cool. Well, let's get into another song. You've got another one coming up for us. What's this one called?
All right. So actually, I'm going to do a flat picking tune that I wrote for y'all. It's the only instrumental on this album, which is weird. I did a reel in Borderline in the middle of it. That was called Borderline Reel. So I'm going to do now one I wrote called Cantie Reel. Cantie means cheerful in Scottish. So I just thought it sounded cheerful to me and named it after my childhood dog, who was a border collie, Cantie.
Well, very cool. Cantie Reel. Rebecca Frazier live on the Globe. Rebecca Frazier with Cantie Reel on 91.1 The Globe. She's live with us here in the studio playing some tunes today, including some stuff from her most recent album, Boarding Windows in Paradise. It's out wherever you get your music. Debuted at number 4 on the Billboard charts. How cool. She's playing tonight at Goshen Brewing Company. Show is at 7, so if you like the stuff that you're hearing right now, make sure to get down there. It's a free show. And we talked a little bit about your sort of run of shows here in November, and one of the really cool things that I saw was an online masterclass that you were teaching. You were teaching guitar, and I just thought that's really, really cool, especially since you mentioned teaching your kids some instruments and stuff. So how does teaching sort of fit into also being a musician that just plays out as well?
Yeah, so actually you asked for about that long gap. That was kind of a lot of what I was doing alongside songwriting and the creative process of recording this album and preparing to release it. During this album cycle, with all of the crazy touring I've been doing, I've actually had to take a little break from a lot of my private teaching and workshops. However, there are, for all you radio people listening, there are a ton of bluegrass camps all over the country that are a blast. they're a pick-and party as much as they are a learning experience. A lot of times they're in colleges. I did one in West Virginia and one in East Tennessee this summer. I do one out in Rocky Grass, Colorado. Up in New York, there's one. So that's a great teaching mechanism for me because we also get to perform and inspire people who want to learn bluegrass. And if it's a kid week for me, I'll often bring the kids along. So for the Acoustic Guitar Magazine, the Patreon they asked me to do on Thursday, they asked me to do a Tony Rice workshop. That was the first teaching I'd done in a long time, and I realized, because I'd been doing every Wednesday night a free Facebook Live where I teach a Tony Rice or a Doc Watson solo. So you guys look out for that. I start them up usually after Christmas every Wednesday at 7:30 Central. And then I post those lessons on YouTube. So acoustic guitar, it was really nice to reconnect for me with getting inside of the Tony Rice style. I like to really dissect the language and help people understand how they can try to improvise that way.
Very cool. And we talked about your show tonight at GOSHEN Brewing Company, and you said that you've played there before during your last album cycle. Are you excited to get back to GOSHEN and play out tonight?
Oh, yeah. I'm so psyched to be here in Indiana. I can't remember the last time I played in Indiana. It might have been Bean Blossom Festival. But I find the people here to be beyond friendly. I don't know if you knew this, I went to school up in Michigan, in Ann Arbor. I got a music degree, University of Michigan. So I'm feeling very at home here with the snow and the kind of more flat landscape. And I love Midwesterners. And it's also a huge honor to have these amazing Nashville musicians with me. Over here on banjo, originally from Ohio and Vermont. He has a degree in composition himself from SUNY Purchase. Charles Butler on the banjo. And over here on the bass, originally also out kind of Midwest, but more of Kansas area. And he's spent a lot of time in Colorado, just like I have. So this next tune is going to mean a lot to him. Craig Aiken on the bass.
Very cool. Shout out to the players here. It's sounding amazing. So, Rebecca, thanks so much for being here today. Once again, show at GOSHEN Brewing Company tonight at 7. What do you have to plug? We were talking earlier. We were talking earlier about how it's hard to talk about yourself or promote yourself. So this is the time.
No, I know. Yeah. I get it. So in the mode of sharing with you guys and being creative. And I know I want you to stay in touch. I'm Rebecca Frazier Music on Instagram, Rebecca Frazier on YouTube, Rebecca Frazier Music on Facebook. So please do stay in touch. I'd love to see you guys out in the internet world. If you're learning guitar, come to one of the guitar hangouts I do on Wednesday nights. And please do follow my videos because I'll have a lot more videos coming out, posting a lot of live ones this winter. So we just hope that we'll be able to come back to Goshen soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate y'all so much.
We'd love to have you back.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, last song here is going to be High Country Road Trip. What do you have to say about this song before you get into it?
Yeah, so this was the one I was saying was slightly inspired by some 80s, just kind of that groove and kind of combining it with bluegrass. And it went from a very simple bluegrass song about Colorado and being in the moment. As I was living out there for a decade with my band Hit and Run, we would tour. And as we drove south from the Denver area to the Santa Fe area on Highway 285, it would drop down and you'd see this huge vista and just feel this feeling of freedom as you dropped, you know. And I loved that feeling, that elevated feeling of being in the moment, and wanted to present that on this. Sometimes I think we think too much. We tend to overthink our decisions. And it's sometimes nice just to enjoy that place in between, just experience the here and now. And that was a big theme for me on this record, especially since I hit age 40, just trying to relax a little bit about life and kind of enjoy it as it comes. So this one was inspired by that. There's a lot of Rocky Mountain references geography-wise on the song, and it's called High Country Road Trip.
High Country Road Trip, Rebecca Frazier on the Globe. Thanks so much for being here with us. Let's get into this last one.
Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Summer wind got the windows down, fire wind paints the sky. Yesterday I've been lonesome, but way up in the clouds. Ain't no place I had to be, but this moment